Hotline, where we cover everything to do with wholesale real estate. I'm Jamil Damji.
I'm Brent Daniels.
And I am Pace Morby.
And together we cover the most important parts of wholesale real estate.
Lead generation.
Conversion of sellers into contracts.
And dispositions. Guys, remember, when you're watching this show, do us a favor and squad up in the comments.
Make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the YouTube channels and in the Facebook group Wholesale Hotline.
Most important, we want to know we're doing a great job for you and helping you build your business. So go give us a review on iTunes and or Spotify.
So squad up and enjoy the show!
Welcome to Wholesale Hotline number 229. I am Brent Daniels, Mr. TTP, joined in studio the King of Wholesale himself.
Well, I
Jamil Damji.
Yeah, it's. I love that you call me the King of Wholesale. I got an opportunity to hang out with Jerry in Montana, and I'm like, man, bro, I just feel like we're all the kings. You know what I mean? Like we're like the three kings of wholesale, and then we got the king of creative finance. It's like
Pace Morby.
This is the royal crew. And I gotta say real fast, like how many people tell Pace, Jerry, and myself how much they love Wholesale Hotline, how they tune into it every week, how it's like they like watching Wholesale Hotline better than Netflix shows, or like it's not only their entertainment, it's like they watch it with their families, and it's something to do, when they're preparing dinner and whatnot. So this show has become a staple in people's lives, and I'm so grateful I get to do it with my three best buddies. So this is super fun.
How can you hear me all right? I'm really sensitive about it right now.
It's like, it's okay. It kind of sounds like you're standing 5 feet away from your microphone, but we can understand you.
I see.
How's mine sound? Mine sounds good.
You sound like you're right where your microphone is.
Gosh, dang it!
But if you yell, it's really good.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta fix the settings on my mic, sadly. But anyway, it was interesting yesterday watching a couple of videos, catching up with my YouTube playlist that I like to watch, and I watched this senator talk about how bad the economy actually is. Like even right now, people are talking, oh, the economy is amazing, right? You look at GDP, but when you look at the cost of everything nowadays, everything's twice as much as it was 2-3 years ago. And so what we're being poisoned by is we believe that the economy is better than it really is because people go, oh, well, look how much money people are spending. No, they're buying the same amount of things. They just cost twice as much money. I'm like, okay, digging a little bit deeper. I find out yesterday, this is the most scary thing I think I've found out recently. 46% of all money we pay in federal income tax goes to paying interest on our debts.
I saw your post on that. That's crazy.
46%. And I look at that and I'm like, man, what does that mean for us in the future, right? You look at now they're going to print more money. They just announced that the Fed says they're going to print a bunch more money. The time of easy money is coming back. And I get so afraid of what is going on in the future, right? How much you're getting taxed, how much things are going up in value. What is the solution to the future? The only solution is make more freaking money, my friends. It's the only solution.
Offense, not defense.
Not defense.
When you say that, Pace, it makes me feel like America's living on a hard money loan.
Well, listen, the fact is, you look at it, January through October, the average American is paying interest and taxes. That's it. Yeah. January through October, look it up, you're just paying your interest payments to whatever, whether it's car loans, whether it's your mortgage, whether it's credit cards, whether it's student loans, and your income taxes, your sales taxes, your property taxes, all of these taxes. It's just a reflection, Pace, of what the normal American life is. That's just all that's all that is.
Well, the other part to this is that foreclosures are on the rise. Okay, people are having a hard time keeping up with their payments. It's getting more and more expensive to live, and foreclosures are on the rise. And so I thought maybe today would be a good day for us to talk about foreclosures, right? What we can do to help somebody that's in foreclosure. What is the opportunity of a foreclosure? And I wanted to start it off at the very beginning saying, we are going to show you guys how to pull a list of people that are in the process of losing their family home. We're going to show you guys that today using Jerry Norton's very own software, Propwire. But before we do that, I want to ask Brent, what is the difference between a foreclosure, a pre-foreclosure, and an REO, which happens all the time? People will say to me, and this is where the REO question comes up, I never get questions about REO. But people ask me the question, Pace, can I wholesale a property that's in foreclosure? And I'm like, where is that question coming from? Of course the answer is yes. Where is that question coming from? Their question is, what if the house gets foreclosed on, which now it's not a foreclosure, it's now an REO, real estate owned by the bank. That means the bank has taken it back. Then can I wholesale it? The answer is no. So if you don't mind, Brent, my friend, can you explain to people the difference between foreclosure, pre-foreclosure, and REO?
You know what's crazy? You miss a payment on a credit card, you miss a payment on your car, and especially your mortgage. People sell they will sell the data to data providers that you miss that payment.
Oh, of course.
Right?
It's worth money.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and Jerry's about to show us. I mean, Jerry's the master of this because he's actually built a platform that has this information. But as soon as you miss a payment, let me tell you this, as soon as you miss a payment, it's like you're getting dragged out into the middle of the town hall, like we're medieval whatever, pilgrims of some sort, and they're saying, you owe debt. That's literally what they do. They go, you owe debt. You are shamed for owing debt.
They're going to throw cabbage.
They're going to throw tomatoes at you and cabbages, and cats are going to crawl all over the place. It's crazy. Right. And that's what happens. And we have the opportunity to buy those lists and to have a conversation with the property owner. But typically for 3 payments on a mortgage, you can miss 3 payments before they get you into what's called pre-foreclosure. Okay. Once you're in pre-foreclosure, that's when it really starts. And then it's anywhere from 90 days, maybe 6 months before they actually take you down and foreclose on the property.
Now, why is it different? Brent, why isn't it just the same everywhere? Why aren't you just telling me 30 days instead of 30, 60, 90 days, upwards of 6 months? Why is it different? Is that like different per state or something?
It depends on the state, depends on if it's judicial or non-judicial. It depends on the actual banks themselves. The banks don't have to file and go through the foreclosure process. For the most part, they're trying to do loan modifications and get you to put the debt on the back end, see what you can afford so that you can stay in that house. And we've seen more and more of that since the 2008 crash. And so that is the pre-foreclosure process. That's the sweet spot. Once it gets foreclosed and either an individual investor or the bank buys that property, then it's kind of out of our hands. And so unless there's a redemption period, which is a whole other conversation to have in some areas where there's a redemption period where the owner can go and catch up on the debts within a specific amount of time and get the property back. So pre-foreclosure, foreclosure, you could have a property that's foreclosed, help them go and reinstate or pay back their debts and get that property after it's actually foreclosed. But for the most part, it's going to be a bank-owned property. And after that, the banks are going to put it on the open market.
Brent, you bring up a good point, though. The foreclosure laws vary and the process varies by state.
Yes.
So anybody who's investing in foreclosures or going down that rabbit hole, you need to understand that entire process from start to finish, what the difference is between each of those steps, how the state, how the foreclosure laws in that state are handled. And then, like Pace said, it also depends on the bank, because the bank might be more on top of their game than others. They might be more aggressive about foreclosing than others. Some might be more, modification or short sale friendly than others. So there's a lot of variations in the time frame and in the process. But for the most part, you've got, some main categories. You got the pre-foreclosure, the foreclosure, post-foreclosure, which, like Pace said, is now no one bought it at the foreclosure auction. Now the bank takes it back, and they're going to then liquidate that, typically on the open market, or they'll package it and sell it off to a hedge fund or whatever. And so I get the same thing, because I have a lot of people that ask me, hey, so-and-so foreclosure. And I always stop and I'm like, okay, there's an entire timeline of a foreclosure. Where are you talking about right now? Are you talking about missed a payment? We sometimes call that pre-foreclosure. Pre-foreclosure. There's also a notice of trustee, which might be after, 90-day window from the notice of default or the lis pendens, which is the pre-foreclosure. So, right, there's this terminology, there's these things that you need to learn, and whatever market you're investing in, learn how it's done in that market.
Now, thank you guys for that clarification, because I think it's super important for people just getting started and wanting to do this. How will the marketing change? What will the messaging? How will the messaging change between those? Now, I know, of course, Jerry, you've got a platform where we're going to be able to show people how to find this information. But I think what's really important for them is to understand what would be the appropriate way to communicate given the different angles, right? So if we're talking first 30 days late on a payment versus notice of default being issued versus notice of trustee sale, what's the urgency look like, and what's the messaging escalation look like when we're talking about those three different situations?
And part of that, to understand that, you have to understand the emotional roller coaster somebody's going through, right? So typically what happens is when someone starts missing a payment, and even into pre-foreclosure, I call it the ostrich effect, right? It's the head in the sand. They somehow feel like this is going to work its way out. They stop answering the phone. They sort of go dark. And then what happens is at some point in time, reality sets in, and usually it's at the 11th hour, right? How many of you have gotten phone calls where it's like, hey, I've been in foreclosure for 9 months. My auction's next Friday. Can you help me? And it's like, you've known about this for a long time, and you're just now at the last minute trying to solve this problem. And it's because somehow they think it's gonna magically work its way out, and it typically doesn't, right? Which is why you get that call when the foreclosure is in 3 days, right? And I know, Pace, you've done a ton of work where you stop a foreclosure literally within 24 hours or the next day or whatever.
An hour before. We get calls the morning of. Foreclosure auction is happening at 10 a.m. and we'll get a call at 7 a.m. Or better yet, we'll call the seller who a week ago was avoiding us and ghosting us, and we'll go, you are losing your house today. Are you sure you don't want to get under contract? And we've already done the math on this. For at least our team, 30% of all the foreclosure deals that we've done are the day of the foreclosure or within a 48-hour window of the foreclosure, because what Jerry just said is that they have the ostrich in the sand mentality, which is, if I just don't look at this and I avoid the phone calls and I change my phone number and I dodge everything, there's no way that somebody's going to kick me out of my house because I have rights. And they get proven wrong. I mean, in Maricopa County, where a lot of us live, Jerry doesn't live there currently, but he will again in the future. We have about 3 human beings a day, so about 60 people a month get pulled out of their home per month. And so what's an easy conversation to have with those people that are facing foreclosure that week is to say, hey, I just want to let you know, here are the 14 houses that got foreclosed on last week, and the family's names and the people that bought them. These houses do go to foreclosure and people do lose their home. And then all of a sudden they have these wake up moments. So you have to use marketing a little bit differently. What Jamil, your question is like, how are you marketing differently to them? In the very beginning, there's really like 3 categories of people. If you guys don't mind me kind of jumping into this for a second.
Please do.
You're going to use your doodle?
Yeah, I'm going to use my doodle. I'm going to doodle all over this doodle. So if you look at it, you've got people that are in the category here, which is pre-foreclosure, that at least I call pre-foreclosure, which is 30, 60, 90 days late. And sometimes I call these people repeat offenders, okay? They constantly are coming in and out of the pre-foreclosure phase. And so when you're reaching out to them, you're not saying, hey, can I buy your house? You're saying, hey, do you need a loan modification? Do you need an agent? What do you need help with? Is there a loan you need? Right? I've given these people loans in the past just to get back on their feet. And there's a lot of strategy here.
Step one's not to buy the house, it's to help them.
Step one is always to help them. Then at this line right here is when the bank, by the way, a lot of people don't realize this, but I want you guys to know that banks do not foreclose on homeowners. What banks do is banks hire something called a trustee, because that's not their business. Bank's business is not foreclosure. Bank's business is creating new loans. And so every minute they spend foreclosing on you is a minute they waste that they could be doing something else. And so what they do is they go and hire a trustee. And it's not until this point, could be 30, could be 60, could be 90. It could also be a year or 2 years, depending on what that bank decides, or the state law or whatever. The bank goes and hires the trustee and says, we will pay you $7,000 to go and take this house back for us, put it on the auction block, see if you can sell it. And so the trustee, the number one trustee in Phoenix, Arizona, is a company called Tiffany and Bosco. Okay, every single state has a Tiffany and Bosco. Tiffany and Bosco kind of has a monopoly on getting hired by the banks. And so when I'm calling these sellers in this phase, which is phase number 2, when I'm calling the sellers here, and let's say we get under contract, I'm not calling the bank. I'm now sadly calling the trustee to extend the foreclosure, not the bank. In fact, you will call the bank, and the bank will say, sorry, we are no longer in charge of this foreclosure. We've passed it on to the trustee. And it gets really confusing. This is where my wife is really good at this. Laura's really, really good at this. She'll call the trustee, extend the foreclosure auction 30, 60, 90 days, give the seller more time and us more time to work out a really, really good deal. Okay. This is phase 2. This usually could go another 180 days, depending on the state. And here, a lot of sellers are trying to stay in their house. Okay. So if I was going to go after foreclosure, I'm just telling you right now, that's you got phase 1 is they might not even be in a bad situation. They might have just forgotten their payment, right? Right. Phase 2 is they are definitely in foreclosure. You've had the NOD, right? Notice of default has been taped to their garage, literally. It is like a scarlet letter. Everybody on the planet knows that this family is now in phase 2, which is there is a date set for their auction to happen. Hey, here's notice of default. We actually are setting a date for your foreclosure. Please communicate with your trustee to see what we can do to catch up with these payments. Also in this phase, the bank is very rarely ever going to allow you to make one payment at a time. They're going to say, catch up all the payments or we will not accept a single penny from you. It gets really, really challenging here. And then you got phase 3. Phase 3 is you have like 3 days before the auction. And if I'm going to go after a deal, and let's say that me, Jamil, Jerry, and Brent are all in Kentucky, or let's say Tampa, for example. You put all 4 of us in Tampa, and you say, you 4 boys have to go get a deal today. I go, foreclosures, Tampa, easy. I think I can do that. I'm going to go after people in phase 3, not phase 1 or phase 2. Why? Because I know they have 3 days or less until the house is taken from them. And at that point, they have a ticking time bomb in their hand. And I'm the person that knows the code to that ticking time bomb. It is the highest level of urgency in the real estate game is somebody that's about to lose. There's nobody else. When we're talking about pain, motivation, all of these things that trigger somebody that's willing to give you a good deal, creative finance, cash, does not matter. It's typically that person, not typically. Can you guys think of somebody that is more pain?
And face less competition because not many people are willing to do the work and have the funds and all that in 3 days, right? So 100%. Less competition. And I think it's important too that everybody understand the bank's perspective here. So, usually the bank's the bad guy, right? Because the bank was wrong in trying to take back the property on somebody that stopped paying for it.
They're greedy, Jerry.
Yeah, the greedy bank.
They're greedy.
But you have to understand. So A healthy bank lends 10 to 1. For every dollar it has, it lends out $10. Explain to me how that's okay, but that's what a healthy bank does. When it has a non-performing asset.
Capitalism, baby.
Yeah. But when the bank has a non-performing asset, it not only cannot lend 10 to 1 anymore, it has to hold reserves for that non-performing asset. Mm-hmm. So that's why the last thing a bank wants is to be holding on to a property that is in default.
Yeah, and that's why they're willing to lose money on that. They're willing to lose money on the situation on that specific loan because that frees them up of that capital to then be able to go and do fractional lending on that money. And so it on paper, it looks to us like the bank is taking a haircut where they're actually taking a haircut on is what they can't loan out.
Right.
And all of the interest
they have to hold for those non-performing assets.
Jerry, Pace, do you have the stats on it? Because last year when I looked at it, it was 90% of people are getting loan modifications. 90% that go into foreclosure get loan modifications because the bank doesn't, exactly what you're talking about, Jerry. The bank does not want to take these things back. It is just it is a black eye on their books, and so they're trying to do anything to push it to the back end of the loan. Get the payments down, keep the people in the loans. And by the way, judicial states, you get served.
Yeah, they get sued.
It's an attorney. It's not some nameless trustee that's doing it. You get served a legal summons. I mean, you have to go and defend yourself. Yeah.
Like it's like you go to the same court that they, for civil and criminal action. That's the same court you go to for your foreclosure in a judicial state. Mm-hmm. And those can take anywhere from 6 to 9 months, sometimes even longer. That's why you tend to find hard money lenders not working in those judicial states because of how hard it is to foreclose.
And Jamil, going back to that question you asked about, how you handle those differently. I mean, if you think about it, once something hits the lis pendens or the notice of default, right, now that becomes now public record. It's now hits a list, hits our list, hits everybody's list. And so typically, that person's getting 20 phone calls the first day of their recording or as soon as that data is available. So, and they've stopped answering the phones. I mean, if you get them on the phone,
for the next 6 months, they're getting it. They're getting 8. If you're just getting 10 calls a day, that's 1,800 calls.
And that's just us calling about that. And imagine everything else they've defaulted. Think of all the other things that are other creditors that are calling them. So like a really powerful strategy, if you have the ability, is to go knock that door.
I was just going to say the number. I was just talking to Nita Patel. She's in a lot of our communities. Yeah.
Your whatever you did to your mic worked.
I know. I fixed it.
Okay.
I took a pill. I'm up right now. I'm good. Okay. So
that was AI Pace earlier.
Nita Patel. She's a married woman, but as an investor, she goes out on her own as a woman in Chicago of all places. And she does 5 deals a month doing nothing but knocking foreclosures. Mm-hmm. She says, these people have turned their phones off. They've stopped paying their bills. They've avoided credit card collections, child support payments, everything you can imagine, lawsuits, mechanics liens, every single thing you can imagine. And if you want a deal, you're going to go knock foreclosures, especially people that have a week or less on their date. So again, highest pain point in all of real estate is somebody that's going to lose their house this week. That's the highest pain point. There's nothing higher than that. Nothing. I can't imagine anything higher. Now, it is a limited list, right? I looked it up today. There's a little over 100,000 people that are currently facing foreclosure. They could lose their home this month. But this is what's great about this list. I call it it's like a rooster opportunity, meaning every single month it gets replenished. There's new people every day coming in, having bad situations happen to them. So there's opportunities for us who have the skills to solve those problems to make a significant amount of money. Next month, there's going to be more. Next month, there's going to be more. Next month, there's going to be more. It's not like, oh, I've got this little town that has 3 ugly houses. I can go and do 3 ugly houses. No, it is every month there's a replenishment of these opportunities. That's always been the case. So with foreclosures, the redemptions, let's talk about that for just a second. I'll close the chapter on this. Redemptions are interesting because you're not able to redeem the majority of foreclosures unless it's a tax sale or an HOA or a mechanics lien sale, right? If the HOA is foreclosing or the tax lien is foreclosing, there's a redemption period for those types of foreclosures. But when a trustee is taking a house back from a bank,
yeah, there's none.
Nothing.
99.9% of the time, there is no redemption period. That is the end all be all. If I buy that house on the auction, I'm the one that owns that house, and that person has a couple of days to get the heck out of that house, right? So
and that is state specific. Like in Michigan, there's a 6-month redemption after the foreclosure auction. It's a year if it's over an acre. There's some shorter periods if it's vacant. You can shorten that window, but and that changes the game obviously, because if you buy at the auction that foreclosure, you can't actually take possession for 6 months. So your money's tied up, and there's a model there, but you just have to understand it.
Shawshank, the number one absolute best note that you will ever leave on a foreclosure home is a paper plate and a pen. You go to the grocery store, go to Walmart, get the little rippled paper plates, the ones we all grew up on, the ones that we had to double down on because when we had potatoes and gravy, those things freaking broke all the way through. Those paper plates are the best notes you'll ever leave at a homeowner's house. Why? It's because they believe you're a neighbor that's concerned and you didn't have anything else to write on. So you ran into your pantry, grabbed a quick paper thing, and you say, "Hey, my name is Pace. Call me about your house." The line was, "Hey, I'm down the street. My name is Pace. Give me a call about the house."
Yeah.
I didn't say I live down the street.
Right.
I'm just down the street about 1,422 miles. Okay. So if you are door knocking it with a paper plate, super effective. They do not want to talk to the establishment. Yep. The people that are in foreclosure are about to lose their home. They hate the sheriff. They hate the auction. They hate the trustee. They hate the bank. They hate everybody, including real estate agents. And I'll tell you why. A lot of them have already tried to hire an agent to sell their house, or an agent told them, "No, your house is in bad shape. I'm not going to list it." Or an agent says, "You don't have enough time. Like, you called me too late. I can't sell your house for you." So they hate everybody that has a business card. They hate everybody that shows up with a clipboard and a polo shirt and it's tucked in. Just be a regular Joe Schmo, wear cargo shorts, flip-flops, and take paper plates with you. You will get deals.
Paige, let me tell you a thing I did that blew up in my face with foreclosures. That was a horrible idea.
Yes.
It was genius and horrible at the same time.
I need to hear this.
So it was direct mail, and I made it look like a foreclosure notice.
Oh, crap.
Direct mail. So it was like, we're about to foreclose on your house. Call.
Holy crap. My
phones blew up, but it wasn't to sell their house. They were pissed. Like, what do you mean my house is not in foreclosure?
Wow.
But generally, the rule is ugly is better. Like, that's Pace's point here. Paper plate.
You did that to non-pre-foreclosures?
Yeah, it wasn't a foreclosure list. No.
Wait.
A foreclosure list.
Who told you this was a good idea?
This is some of that 2013 shenanigans, bro. That is
for sure.
God.
You've been marketing for a long time. You get bored every once in a while, and you got to throw some crazy stuff out.
Good response rate, though. Good response rate.
Oh my word! Did you get any deals out of it?
I think we did get a couple deals out of it. Yeah, I think we did. But we had to stop that immediately because that was bad.
Raquel says, "Jerry, really?
Jerry did that, really?
Jerry. Yeah, paper plate solutions. By the way, I did a YouTube series a couple of months ago about foreclosures, all the way like, where do you get foreclosures? I did like an 11-part series on it. And I talked about the paper plate strategy. And I've probably gotten 30 or 40 DMs from people saying, "I just got a deal from the paper plate strategy."
Yeah.
Sticky notes work too. Michelle Rice says sticky notes work too.
Sticky notes, or like back of a napkin kind of thing,
Yeah.
Something that just looks like you grabbed it from the kitchen or grabbed it from the drawer and you wrote a friendly note,
Yeah, don't send the high gloss, fancy, direct mail or whatever. That looks like a big company.
Yeah, they don't want to talk to them.
Also, a lot of times these houses have old cars in the front, and you could say, "Hey, listen, I wanted to talk to you about the whatever car it is," right? And you get on the phone, and maybe you do want to buy the car, maybe they just want to take it, and then you just transition into real estate. I've seen that work as well.
Pace, what you and I did once, we went door knocking and we started taking pictures of ourselves in front of the people's houses and texting it to them.
Yeah, that's a great strategy. Hey, I'm in front of your house. My name is Pace.
Looks like there's something going on in here. Are you the occupant, or is there people living in here? Just making sure that everything's okay, because it looks like something's going on. And they'll respond, and then you get to have the conversation. That worked.
Yeah, no, I've got a good story of a seller. I bought a house in foreclosure not too long ago. Let's see here, 17th Ave in Phoenix. Hopefully this is it. Oh, dang it. Oh, that's what? That's not right. Phoenix, Arizona. Hold on a second. I want to pull up a house and tell. Yeah, this is it. This is the winner chicken dinner. Let me pull this up for you guys real quick. So I've got a house. We used to have a door knocking team before COVID. And one of the stupidest things I did during COVID was shut down my door knocking team. We should have kept going. We just were like, oh my gosh, national emergency. Now I look back at COVID. I'm like, wow, what a manipulation. This freaking government, man. I was manipulated. Anyway, this was right before COVID hit, 2019. I buy this house on this street right here. I had a door knocker knock the house, and we had knocked this house probably 10 times before. Okay. And I get a call from one of my closers. His name is Matt Beard. He was one of the guys who was just learning from me at the time. Matt Beard, some of you guys know Matt Beard. This is the house. It has a front house and a guest house, which is nice. It's a really great rental. You can see in the backyard, it has a guest house. The guest house, you can get in for the backyard. It was awesome. So I get a call from Matt Beard, and Matt says, hey, I don't know how to close this seller, and I don't know how to explain subject to, but I think subject to is his only option. Will you come down here? I'm sitting in the living room. I'm like, yeah, no problem. I'll be there. I'll be there in like 3 hours. And Matt's like, no. I'm in the living room right now. I'm like, okay, I will drop everything I'm doing and I will drive there. I'll be there in 25 minutes. So I go there, I'm talking to the seller, and I explain the seller, hey, you know what? Your auction's up in 2 days. I can buy your house subject to, take over your VA loan. It's like a 2-point-something% interest rate loan, and I can give you $5,000 to walk away. And the seller says this to me. He says, where were you 3 months ago? Where were you 4 months ago when I really needed you? I was talking to agents and all these people that I now have found out are called wholesalers. Nobody's given me the solution. And I said, Tim, you might remember me, but I was the guy that came to your house 4 months ago, explained this exact solution to you. I was wearing cargo shorts and flip-flops, and you made fun of me because I wasn't in the Army, but I was wearing camo. And that really frustrated you. He goes, oh my gosh, that was you. I go, yeah, remember I told you this exact solution 4 months ago, and you said you'd call us back. You didn't call us back. Instead, you went and listed it on the market. Then you fired the agent, and here we are. And he goes, wow, man, I feel really stupid. I said, Tim, I have done this so many times that I expect most of the sellers to listen to me 3 months before their auction and ghost me. And my team is trained to follow up twice as hard every time another week goes by. However, every other real estate investor is the exact opposite. Most real estate investors, they call in the very beginning, they can't get a hold of somebody, they get, maybe a little bit of traction, then they get ghosted, and they never follow up, and they never do the deal. I closed a deal in Atlanta, Georgia, on February 22nd, 2022. So Sub2 day, 2/22/2022. And that was another deal. Do you remember Jamari? Yeah. Jamil out of Atlanta, Georgia. All he does is knock foreclosures. Yep. And he says, Pace, I'm having a hard time getting deals. And I said, I want you to change one thing and one thing only. I want you to not reach out to anybody that's been in foreclosure until they've been in foreclosure for over 30 days. Then I want you to have a practice that you call them once every other week for the first time you contact them, and then start doubling how often you communicate with them as it goes on. I end up having this lady come on my YouTube channel we bought the deal from, and I said, can you walk me through the process of how often you were getting called in the beginning and what it looked like at the end? And you would think it's the opposite of what these sellers tell you, but this is what happens. Everybody calls the first week. Everybody's calling the first week. They're knocking their sticky notes. They're doing all the things. But 70 to 80% of these sellers are not ready to sell. They believe they can still save the house. They believe they can still get a loan modification. They believe this, that, and the other. So if you take a different approach and you contact them in the beginning, you go, hey, I'm here. I'm going to stick with you all the way until you save your house. And I hope you save your house. I'm just going to check in with you every week and see if you need something. You will get so many deals, because what happens after about 4, 5, 6 weeks, all the other newbie investors stop contacting the seller, and you are literally the only one left standing. Everybody else is gone. I cannot tell you how many investors how many sellers at the end of the foreclosure process say, you are the only person that is still calling me. Everybody else has given up.
And for anybody listening to Pace say that right now and thinking, well, now Pace, you just told everybody.
They still won't do it.
They're still not going to do it.
Because it's work.
It doesn't matter how many times Pace tells it or explains this. The reality is that there's a certain kind of human being who has the consistency and the discipline to actually do that. And that's the question you're answering for yourself today is, are you that person?
Yeah, and Jerry's going to answer the question for REI Lauren Stewart. She says, what about bank REO? REO stands for real estate owned, which means the bank has already hired the trustee. The trustee goes and puts it on the auction, and nobody buys it on the auction. And the bank says, gosh, dang it. I guess we just have to take the house back and evict these people. And now we own a house, which is really bad news for the bank. Jerry and Jamil have already said this. They get a bad credit rating when they have houses on their books. They also have to have reserves in the bank for those loans. So these banks don't want that, but there are a lot of banks that have a whole entire REO department. So Jerry, what does that process look like?
So typically the opening bid at the auction is the amount owed to the bank. That's typical. It doesn't have to be. Sometimes banks will come in lower. But typically it's whatever's owed on that loan to the bank is the opening bid. If someone buys it, great. No one buys it, bank takes it back. Now they own that property. And typically what banks do is they're going to outsource this to the liquidation department or the non-performing assets. And their goal then is to get rid of this asset as quickly as possible. Now, when the 08 crash happened, what they did is they listed all these properties with real estate agents. So they all went to the public market. And at that time, I was around buying hundreds of bank properties, wholesaling those properties.
Yeah, that was a big deal for a while. A couple of years, everybody was focusing on REOs.
All the deals were, because there were so many deals.
Yep.
Yeah.
This was 2009, 2010?
2010.
All the way to 12.
Okay.
11, 12. Yeah, it took a while to get through all that inventory. Today, we see things a little different. Every now and then, you'll see an REO property listed with an agent. But now what we're seeing is the banks will actually sell these off in packages or what's called tapes to big investors like hedge funds. And so we never even see them. They never even see the light of day because they're just sold off for 20 cents on the dollar in bulk or whatever. But so that's why you don't see as many anymore as you used to. Now, will it always be that way? Who knows? But I think since the birth of hedge funds, that's probably an easy way for banks to sell them is take them to Blackstone or whoever.
Yeah, hedge funds weren't playing in the real estate field until 2008, 2009. And then they learned, wait, there's auctions. We're going to go in there and just gobble up all these houses on auction. Then they realized, wait, what about the houses that don't get bought on auctions? Why don't we just call the banks and start working deals with them? That wasn't until 2013, 14 that these hedge funds really wisened up and started negotiating directly with the bank. And like Jerry said, we as the individuals don't have the power to see those particular deals.
And let's for a second, just to kind of cover all the bases, let's talk about the auction for a second. The auction, if you can go to the auction, for one, you're going to network with the biggest players in town. And here's why. When you bid at that auction and you win the bid, you have to pay right then. You got to walk out of there with a cashier's check to buy that property. Some auctions will give you a little bit of window, like 24, 48 hours. But basically, you got to have the cash to go. Also, you're buying sight unseen because remember, the homeowner still has rights. So you're not accessing these properties. So you have to bid low enough to on a property that you have not been inside of yet. And so the people that are able to play at the auction are usually big investors in town, and those are people that you want to know. So if anything, if you have the ability, go to those auctions and network and meet people there that are bidding. Great place to be. And if you're highly capitalized, it's also a great place to get some good deals because again, you're going to have limited competition that's actually bidding at those auctions. You don't have a window of time to raise money and then, wholesale it or whatever. You got to have the capital ready to go.
Look, Matt Beard's on here. He said, this is, Matt was the one that knocked that appointment that I was just talking about with this guy. And what was so funny is that seller did in the appointment, he was like, wait. Like, can I just learn how to do this subject to thing? I want to learn how to do the subject to thing. Good to see you, Matt. Matt did a great job running our door knocking team. He was one of the best door knockers I've ever seen. He's phenomenal. He started out as a real estate agent, never doing a wholesale deal, joined our team, did his first wholesale deal, went off, bought a whole goat farm subject to after learning creative finance, did a really, really great job. Josh Wilson, if you guys remember my bunny story.
Oh yeah.
My bunny story is I helped this lady get rid of her bunnies for my first deal I ever did. And I never followed up with the lady. She actually followed up with me 2 weeks after I left her house. And the question Josh is asking is a really great question. Why didn't you follow up with the bunny story? Because I didn't know what I didn't know until 4 or 5 years later after that story. Like, there's actually somebody in here that says they've been knocking. Oh, right here. Emmanuel says, I've been knocking for 5 months doing all of this wrong. I think this is a new start again.
Mm-hmm.
And
what's up, bro? Love that guy.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Threw him off the tube so hard. It was great at community camp.
So we would spend a little bit of time at the very beginning, right when a new foreclosure came on the list. And we're going to go to Propwire today and pull a list today and show you guys how to do this, which will be awesome. Thank you again, Jerry, for doing that. But you'd pull the list, you'd go knock the door a couple of times, but you'd spend most of your time on the people that are going to lose their house that week. You spend less time on the people on the front end because that's where all kind of the newbies are just calling and inundating these people. And also, guess what newbies are not willing to do? Knock doors.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay. Shawshank, Jamil, how is a short sale different versus a foreclosure?
Well, short sales entirely different because a short sale is when a homeowner is making an offer to the bank to give them less than what is owed, right? So they're selling it short, meaning if you owe $500,000 to the bank, and let's just say an investor approaches you and says, I noticed that you're in notice of default right now, and it looks like you owe $500,000, but looking at your property, I can't make $500,000 work because your house is in severe disrepair. It's going to need $100,000 in remodeling. I actually need to buy this thing at $350, but you owe $500. And so what I propose to do is, what if I give you an offer at $350 and we submit that to the bank and see if the bank will accept to take less for what they're owed on the mortgage. And it happens. It actually, banks approve this, 2 or 3 out of every 10 times you ask. And so it's not 100% guarantee. A bank's not obliged or required to accept a short sale offer, but they do happen. Now with the with creative finance being as powerful as a strategy as it is, it's, I would say, rivals. In fact, it far surpasses short sales in its viability for a homeowner, because we're not having to go to a bank and say, I'm going to give you $350,000 on your $500,000 note. If you buy it creatively and the deal makes sense for you to take over that loan subject to, we don't even have to negotiate with the bank. We can just take the property over. So short selling is different because you have to negotiate with the bank to get them to take less. It is a pretty arduous process, and you should have a short sale specialist help you. So there's a number of different real estate agents like Matthew Potter or Nicole Espinoza who are really, really good at short sales, and I believe they work nationally. So you could reach out to either of those people to help you out with them, but they're very different from a foreclosure.
I would do Sub2 over short sale all day long. I have one right now where it just won't make sense because our number that's submitted right now to the bank is like 50 or 60,000, and the existing loan balance is 140. It's just way too high for the condition and value to take over that loan. But a lot of times that's a lot easier to just take over their loan, skip short sale.
Especially in, the types of houses that are, already remodeled, they're in really good condition. They were just bought, I find the best creative deals that you should go after are the ones that somebody just bought 2 years ago, have an incredible interest rate on them, but they just had a life situation that makes them have to leave. So they don't have equity, but they're not really underwater. They're just kind of at par. That right there is a honey hole creative deal to take over, because you're getting the real asset in there. You're getting the note.
Yeah, I've got one on Via Hermosa that I just closed a couple of days ago. I have the recording. I think I have the recording number here. But I just closed one a couple of days ago, literally exactly what you just described. The seller bought the deal. Ooh, here it is. Here, it's so new. Check this out. It's so freaking new. Okay. That the house is not even on Zillow. Right? You've seen those deals where you go to the image and you're like, hey, where's the freaking house?
Yeah.
Okay. So this house.
Wow, it's still a piece of dirt.
Yeah, it's still a piece of dirt. So this property.
That's a new build. It's a new build you bought.
Brand new build. And I got a 4% rate on it.
Wow.
And they bought it 2022. I bought it literally 2 years later and got a 4% rate, gave the seller $7,000 for a house that's worth like $460. And I'm turning around, I'm actually wrapping that deal for like $550, which is awesome. And great situation. There's so many of those people.
You're selling something?
Well, yes, I'm creating a note. I'll hold the note, which is nice. A lot of people are loving this episode tonight, guys. This is awesome.
Well, it's really tactical, right? And a lot of people out there right now are thinking, okay, well, if I want to get out and do business tomorrow, and I don't want to worry about having to build a 90-day pipeline and having to follow up. If I want to go and try to do business tomorrow, we listen to what Pace said, and we're going to go after the person who is in foreclosure they're going to auction this week. I mean, there's no better opportunity for you to go get a deal done this week than finding the most urgency with the greatest pain point. I mean, it's right there, guys.
The sand is dropping out of that thing. It is. I mean, there's a timeline. There's an ending date to where they need to make a decision. And whenever that happens, they can't just keep pushing you off. So the timeline is really important. And that's one of the main pillars, right? Condition, timeline, motivation, and price. And if you know that they've got that timeline and they can't do a loan modification, or they just didn't go through the whole process, they're going to have to make quick decisions. And it's fast. It usually happens really, 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 really fast. And so, but I'm telling you, hitting the doors is going to be your most effective method there. And listen, it doesn't cost you anything, right? Get the list from Jerry. Go tomorrow. Go knock on 5-10 doors and go have a conversation with the property owners. You really want to get gangster, filter Jerry's list by the rental properties, not the owner occupied properties. Go to the mailing address of those rental properties, not the actual address, and go talk to them. It's an extra layer. It's an extra step, an extra hurdle that a lot of lazy or just uninformed, people that don't watch the show are not going to go through. And so you're going to get a little bit less people at those doors than you will at the doors that are for closing, for sure.
Boom. Antoine Perez says, are foreclosure deals often sub-2 deals? Yes. Before COVID, when we had a door knocking team, in 2019, we did 18 sub-2 deals knocking doors in October. We did 19 in November, and we did 20 in December. Month, boom, boom, boom. Sub-2 deals, all knocking doors. That's close to 60 deals door knocking in 3 months, all sub-2. Yes, it is a massive opportunity for creative finance deals, not seller finance. You're not going to run into seller finance really opportunities. You'll run into some hybrid deals, but that's it.
You can even get some really good cash deals. I mean, if you're watching this right now and you're like, I don't want to own anything, or maybe you're like, I'm nervous to wholesale a creative, which, if you do it correctly, you shouldn't be. But if you're looking for cash opportunities, they're still there. There are people with equity in those situations as well. They just don't know what to do. So you're going to find great creative deals to hold, great creative deals to wrap and sell, great cash opportunities for people who have equity but are just in trouble. There's plenty of opportunities there.
But there was one thing that Pace mentioned that I think that we need to go back to, which I think is really critical, is cargo camo shorts and flip-flops.
Hell yeah, bro. Are you kidding me?
Cargo camo shorts and Flipflops. That's how you get the deals done.
You just show up like a regular dude.
You just show up.
If you go in a regular car, like a regular person, don't go with a clipboard. Don't go with your business card and your lanyard.
Yeah.
Just go be a human being and try to
have a conversation.
Somebody. Yeah.
Jerry, I know you've got a 10K program, meaning that you pay people $10,000 to find a deal for you. Mm-hmm. You got Dyron. That's an interesting name. I've never heard that before. Asking, Jerry, where can I submit a deal to that $10,000 program that you'll pay me $10K for bringing you a deal?
Yes, you got to submit that. You got to go into the members area where you log in, and then there'll be a deal. We call it Deal Genie, but it's a portal where you can submit that deal.
Oh, damn.
Oh, really?
Do I get a licensing fee every time
Jerry?
they submit to the Deal Genie there, Jerry?
Really?
Nobody ever.
I came up with that name a long time ago, just so you know.
Okay.
Tamisha says, what if I buy it sub-2, then end up filing bankruptcy anyway? What happens to the property? We have so much training on this. I've had 5 sellers. I bought their houses sub-2, filed bankruptcy on me. The long and short answer, or actually, I'll just give you the short answer. We have it in our agreement that states that when the seller goes through, we always plan worst case scenario, every single seller we're going to assume is going to file bankruptcy at some point. We get all the proper documentation up front to make sure that that house is omitted from their bankruptcy hearing. Why is that? Because they don't own the house anymore. I own the house, right? And we omit that debt from their bankruptcy hearing because the debt is in good standing. There's no reason to file bankruptcy on that debt. And so we get that debt omitted from the bankruptcy hearing. 5 out of 5 times, never had an issue with it whatsoever. Would it be a great move to get my personal residence sub-2 and start with that and build my portfolio on that? Yes. Jeffrey Pinzon, let me give everybody an amazing website for you guys to go check out. I will find you a sub-2 deal myself. I found 4 sub-2 deals for families last week. I'm going to be cranking these really, really hard coming up. So I want to give you guys a website. Obviously, you guys can see Propwire. We're going to go to that in just a minute. But if you guys go to pacemorby.com, I think it's pacemorby.com, and you go to, where is this stupid thing? Contacts, resources, brands, resources. I can't remember where the stupid thing is. Pace Morby. Dang it. No, I'll give it to you guys later, but DM me the word sub-2, and I will give you access to a website where you can put your name and your information on a web page where I will find a house for you, and it will ask you, hey, where do you want to buy a house? And I will, you can go El Paso, Texas, this zip code, 3-bed, 2-bath. I can afford this much of a monthly payment. And this year, I will probably find 500 or more houses for families who don't want to buy a house with conventional methods. And just DM me the word sub-2 and I'll help you out. Actually, don't do that, because in the future, if you're watching this in 3 months, just say, hey guys, or hey Pace, can you give me the link to the website to put my name on the list for you to find a house for me? And I'll hook you up. I'll take care of you. No problem. All right. Can we pull a list of foreclosures?
Let's do it.
And Pace or Jerry, is there a way to maybe pull a couple of lists with different levels of urgency?
Yeah, let's look at that.
Yeah,
okay,
let's do that. Yeah.
Everybody, if you guys want to get to Propwire, we have a link called getpropwire.com. I'm currently in my account. As you guys know, last week I signed up for Propwire myself. I asked Jerry today, hey, can we go in here today and set this up? I suggested Tampa because I know Jamil crushes it in Tampa. A lot of people crush it in Tampa. It's a well-known market. And foreclosures are pretty hot in Tampa, I think.
Type it in right here.
So we're just going to go... We're going to choose Tampa. Jamil, what do you like about Tampa, by the way?
Well, it's just one of the best investor markets right now. I mean, we've got fix and flips. Buyers are coming out hand over fist, bidding up properties. I mean, there's a ton of activity out there. There's still a lot of buy and hold investors. The retail market is super strong. We've got massive influx of people coming from New York and New Hampshire and other places in the Northeast going into Florida. So Tampa, in my opinion, it's just one of those resilient, robust markets. And then in addition to that, it's still really affordable. And so you've got affordability, you've got demand, and it's Florida. You know, I mean, 9 months out of the year, it's awesome, right? And 3 months out of the year,
didn't they win the World Cup or something? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the World Cup or something?
That's the Stanley Cup.
Oh, Stanley Cup. Got it.
Wait, the Buccaneers?
No, the finals. They won the finals.
They won the finals. Okay.
Yeah,
it was the World Series.
Yeah. Oh, we got all the sports messed up here, didn't we?
Yeah. Gina Marciano, DM me the exact same website that you can say, Pace, find me a house. You can also submit your deals to me. Okay. How do I submit Sub2 deals that don't cash flow for people needing a house? Send them to me or just email me, pacejmorby@me.com. Don't email me a question about your divorce or any of that kind of crap. I get so many people are like, I'm going through divorce. What's your advice? What should I do? Blah, 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 blah. Gina, that statement is not directed towards you. But if I give you my email, please send me an email only about a deal. I'll just delete it or somebody on my team will delete it. pacejmorby@me.com. Happy to help you out. Why Propwire versus any other software? Can I be honest with you guys? This is Jerry's software, so obviously I want to help him promote it. That's the honest answer. And I want to learn Propwire myself. But the reality is, turkey cam. I'm going to turn the turkey cam on here in just a second. We got 3 turkeys out here hanging out. The reality is there's a lot of really great software. PropStream's awesome. It's been around for a long time. Privy's awesome. Batch Leads is awesome. There's so many other softwares that are great.
I don't think Privy really does what this. I would say,
but I was just going to say that. Just going to say that it's the same thing as if, like, Jerry, if you got a big family gathering going on, what grocery store do you and your wife go to immediately? What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Costco. Okay, great. What if you just need a gallon of milk really quickly? Are you going all the way to Woody's? Literally, that's a gas station down the road. So it's the same thing with supermarkets, Target, Walmart, Costco, Safeway, Albertsons, et cetera. They all have a little bit different experience and they all have a little bit different product. So for example, I really like Privy for agent outreach, something that Jamil talks about a lot. I love Privy for that, right? It's mostly on market. They're improving some things, but here's what sucks about Privy. If I want to skip trace somebody, I can't skip trace. Privy doesn't have the ability to do that.
Right.
And that's one of 50 different little nuanced things that are different between those softwares. So PropStream, Privy, Batch Leads, they're all good. We're not going to bash any of them. I'm currently trying to learn Propwire myself because a lot of my students are using it and they ask me questions about Propwire and I go, can I tell you the truth? I haven't used Propwire. I'm going to ask Jerry to teach me. And so I'm using this as an opportunity for me to learn Propwire while you guys learn Propwire. Jerry is going to tell me exactly what to do. And so Propwire is dope. And also
it's free.
It's free.
Yeah, I tell people, look, keep your other accounts, your subscription accounts if you want. It's free. So you try it out and you decide, there's nothing to lose here. It's free.
Love it.
Wow.
Okay, so here we go. We got that out of the way. We don't need to talk about software the rest of the night.
Yeah.
So if you guys are looking to get into Propwire, go to getpropwire.com and sign up. It is completely free unless you want to skip trace. You then have to have some money in your wallet, as you guys can see up here in my wallet. I have no dollars. Okay, so what do? I want to go pull some foreclosures.
Okay, so put Tampa, Florida in right there.
Okay.
In your address spot. And you can go zip code, state, you can go big, small, however you want to go. So let's go Tampa. And now what we're going to do here is click lead type, but don't click anything right now. If you scroll through here, you'll see all these different specific types of leads that you can go after. And you'll see some foreclosure related, like there's pre-foreclosure. You'll see, keep going down. Okay, zombie would be foreclosure and vacant. That's a type of that. So there's some different things here, but right now, let's leave that alone and let's go over to it. Go back to it. Let's go to. I
want to make it full screen layout for everybody.
Go to advanced. So go to the more tab right there.
Dude, we got advanced stuff up in here.
Yeah. Now go to foreclosure filters.
What?
Scroll down. And so now you can pick some different categories if you want to get real specific. So like, for example, you could pick pre-foreclosure.
Okay.
and then click outside, hit save, and you'll see that there's 675 right now. Now go back to more and go back to foreclosure filters. So under that, you could pick some specific dates of an auction, opening bid. Now that would apply if you were picking auction. So go back to the foreclosure status. So you got these different categories, right? You would have to put a date range in there.
Let's say July 31st through August, or let's say September 30th. Save and close.
No, not finding any.
Okay.
Those would be, yeah, I think that'd be future dates, right?
Let's see, auction. Those are future dates. Oh, you're okay. So foreclosure. Let's try this on foreclosure. This is what's fun about new software. You get to mess around and find out. You get to try things out. Like, okay, what works, what doesn't work.
Yeah, play around. But go ahead and reset those. Oops, reset those right now for a second.
How do I? Oh, reset all filters. Okay.
Go back to more. Yeah, go back to foreclosure filters.
Okay.
And just to get an overview, you've got some different statuses. That'd be high level. And then if you go down, so don't click any of those. Click the next filter down. And then these would be specific. Now, not all these are going to apply because it's going to be specific to whatever state that's doing.
Okay, let's do notice of default. How about that?
Yeah, does Florida do notice of default, or what do they call theirs? Do they do list pendants? I'm trying to remember.
Yes, they do list pendants. It's a judicial state.
Down to that one.
Notice as a list pendants, they're suing somebody. Ooh, there's 1,790 people have been noticed that they are going to be served a lawsuit.
Now, if you look here, if you look at the right, that's each individual record. So go ahead and click on one, and that's going to give you information about it. So go ahead and scroll down on this property.
Okay.
And you'll see there's mortgage data in here. Keep going down. Keep going, land, keep going, tax.
Can you filter by the amount of equity?
It shows you, it shows it right here.
Yeah, if you go to, there's equity filters. Yeah.
Okay, you want me down? Where do you want me to go? Ooh, trustees information, Gilbert Garcia Group.
Yeah, now unpaid amount, this is a category that some of them you'll see some unpaid amount in there. So this is just gives you a lot of oversight on what's going on here. Then you can go to history, you can go to owner. If you wanted to reach out to this person, now this person, so you could skip trace right from here if you have some money in your wallet.
Man, she's got hella equity.
Someone's got some equity in it. And then from here, you can do your thing.
Potential. So Pace, when they got hella equity like that, you likely wouldn't pitch Sub2 on that because they're going to want a big down payment, right? Would you pitch a cash deal? What would you do in that circumstance?
Well, we pitch cash on every deal 100% of the time.
Okay.
Even when we know it's not a good opportunity for cash. And the reason being is because we anchor, right? So like one of the best stories I could ever tell you guys is that I'll go to sellers and I'll go, well, if I was going to offer you cash, I'd probably offer you around 40 or 50, but I assume you would have already sold at that price because you probably have already been given that offer. And the sellers are always like, wait, how did you know that? I'm like, because that's what I would offer.
Yeah.
But you would have sold already. So I'll give you another offer if you'd like. And so a cash offer extracts data from the seller before you go and do a creative offer. And when you do a creative offer, you want to come in as the hero saying, oh, well, I do have this other opportunity. Not sure if you'd be interested. I could have you talk to somebody else in a different department that focuses on those things. That's a strategy. Or you could say, my partner's way better at it than I am. I'll have him talk to you about it. But probably 30% of our sellers end up going that route because blah, 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 blah. They don't want to get lowballed. It's always better to pitch cash on every single deal, no matter what.
Yeah. So Pace, go back. I'll show a couple filters that you could do with this list that.
Yeah, Jerry, what would be the advantage of an estimate of equity when you're approaching this door knock? You're about to knock on this door. You know how much roughly equity because you have Propwire. What advantage would that give
I would
you?
say that you right out of the gate know that there's a possibility for a cash offer, right?
Yeah, because if you run your cash number, you want to know that there's enough equity for you to even get it at that cash number, or if you should approach it differently with Sub2. Like it lets you know that instantly. Hey, are we having a cash conversation or a Sub2 conversation because there's not enough equity?
So
right?
You could target people that don't have a lot of equity. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So go back to that.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to go find some more Sub2s.
So go back, click out of that. Just click over out of there, and then go back to your lead type. And now let's go down to high equity and click on that. Now we should see our list shrink. So
yeah, we lost about 500 deals.
Yeah. So now we're like, I don't want to look at anything that doesn't have that is, I only want to look at high equity foreclosure. So then that just did that. Now go ahead and click match all. And we could pick some more things. We could pick, well, go click off of that. You could pick, well, free and clear wouldn't have any because it's free and clear, but you could pick empty nesters. So click on the question mark right there. This is just what we call an empty nester. People have owned their property for over 20 years. So go ahead and click on that and see what it does. Brought it down to 206. So if you were like, I want to go door knocking, but I only want 20 addresses, you could just get creative and keep adding filters to get you down to a very, very high concentrated list based on those filters. And you can see here too, on each record, it gives you these little boxes. It tells you all the categories it hits in the data points. So that one hits all of those. It's an adjustable loan as well. So we just got some mortgage data. So Pace, you'll like this. If you go back to the lead type, we have adjustable loans, assumable loans. So those are some new categories.
I like them. Added. I like that.
Yeah, so that might play into some of your strategies with how you want to target those type of sellers.
I love it. I'm sold.
So just at a quick overview, and now what you could do here is let's say you have 206. You could say, let's select all those. So I think if you click that, it put all of those in your cart, and now you could skip trace all 206. Or if you don't want to skip trace, you could download the list and mail to it or whatever you want to do.
Or go knock the doors or whatever. Or text. You can't text them because you got to skip trace them. You can't call them because you got to skip trace them.
You get to the skip tracing, but all the data, all the information, all the research, everything, getting the list, downloading the list. We don't filter how many you download. I think we stop it if someone's doing like 250,000 or something like that. But no subscription to do all of this.
That's insane.
What's pretty cool. Yeah.
So I could go to getpropwire.com.
Now that Pace, so here's a special promotion we're doing. That link right there will take you to an offer where you can get 2,500 skip traces for $97 a month. So 2,500 a month for $97 a month. Yeah. So this is just the page to sign up for that. But those of you guys that are skip tracing in bulk, it's a phenomenal deal because for $97 a month, you're getting 2,500. It's like a savings.
This is what I signed up for.
Yeah.
I signed up for this because I was like, and here's the thing, like, here's the strategy I would take. And I think this is the next question here. You look at this list, it's 206, completely manageable for a new person. Mm-hmm. I would do step number one. Okay, let's pull this off the screen. Step number one, I would probably partner up with somebody and drive around to these houses. I would leave a note on every single door and I would leave my phone number. That's baseline. I don't have to knock the door because I'm afraid. I don't have to cold call. I don't have to text them. I can just put a sticky note on their door and I can go drive around the neighborhood and get to know Tampa, get to know all the streets, get to know these houses. And
you're driving for dollars at the same time.
Yes.
You're basically skipping to the front of the line because most people aren't going to do that. And you're doing that.
Listen to Wholesale Hotline while you're doing it. Right. And putting sticky notes, you put a sticky note on their door and you put a sticky note on their car door on their driver's side. Okay. So when they come out, a lot of people don't come out their front door. They come out their garage door and then they walk out to their car. So put a sticky note on their door handle, put a sticky note on their door. You'll have a double likelihood of getting a hold of somebody. This is foundational, meaning it's nothing scary. I'm creating inbound calls here. I didn't call them. I didn't text them. I didn't actually door knock. I just went out and did that. And I know it sounds like stupid advice for people that are already doing deals, but the biggest problem with people getting into this business is they're afraid of their own shadow and they don't know what to say to people, but they want to take action. So go do that foundational item. Go get paper plates, go get sticky notes, write a little note. Hey, I'm down the street, wanted to chat about your house, phone number, name,
what
that's
I love
it.
About that Pace is it's like a non-invasive competitive advantage, right? Because you're creating a competitive advantage because you're going to the houses and leaving a note. No one else is doing that. And you don't have to talk to anybody. So you get over that fear of like, what if I have to talk to somebody? So I love it. That's just a great strategy.
Yeah, there you go. How are you, everyone? What if the phone numbers are not working? Aviv, that you have to expect that, by the way, in real estate. You're always going to have a 10, maybe 20% failure rate on phone numbers, no matter how good the service is. I've never found a skip tracing service that's 100% guaranteed. I think a good one is above 75%. A great one is in the 85% category. And really the only time you should worry about it is when you have cold callers dialing 10,000 numbers a day. That really adds up to have bad numbers. But if you're doing it individually, you're door knocking, you're leaving notes, you really don't have to worry about phone numbers in the first place.
And one cool thing that we do is if it doesn't pull a number, it doesn't charge for it. So, this is a good point
guys,
too.
The phone number. Let's get tactical a little bit here because we've kind of gone broad and blah. We know who we're going after. We know that they need some help. We know the timeline. What phone number do we put on these paper plates? Right? Do we put our cell phone or do we get another line? I would highly suggest that you get another line so that when that call comes in, you know where it's coming from, because you will ignore a call to your cell phone that you don't recognize.
What about like a Google number? I could have a Google number that pops up, right?
You can go call rail. You can get all sorts of different things, but have a line that is specifically just for your paper plates, your leave behinds, your whatever.
Like assign a different kind of ringtone to it, so
100%.
Make sure it's the same area code though as
same area code, answer the calls live. You missed that call, they're not calling you back. You could call them 15 more times, they're not going to answer the phone. Right. You got one shot. You got one shot. When they call you, you better answer it. In this market, right now, when people are calling you, you answer live. So you need to make sure that phone is on you. You know what I'm saying? That phone's on you. You know when they're calling, who it is, and you answer that call live. All right. And then you want to get them talking as much as possible. Tell me what's going on. Tell me what's happening with the bank. Tell me what's happening with the loan. We specialize in working with people to make sure that they avoid foreclosure. Talk to me about what's going on. Right. You specialize in it. I will inherit our experience. All right. We all have somebody that we can go to that has done a foreclosure and worked with them. Leverage that as your experience to talk to these people and help them out and lower their force fields so that they feel comfortable having a good quality conversation, and try to get in front of them as soon as possible. Set the appointment. Go over right away. Just like Grace was saying, he gets a call from Matt Beard. He's over there in 25 minutes, right? You go over to that appointment as fast as possible. You want to really stack the cash. You really want to have a heavy, healthy bank account. Answer your damn phone and be fast. Be faster than everybody else. Be hungrier to serve than anybody else in your marketplace. You will be unstoppable. You will be a 5,000-pound rhinoceros running through the streets of whatever market you're in, and you're going to get the best deals. But if you're just like sitting back and you're just kind of, this is all kind of part-time, you're kind of just, toe in the water type of thing, we're going to beat you like a drum. The people that have that are going to take this advice and answer live are going to beat you like a drum because they want it more. They want it more. So be that person.
Jacob Simpson, I'm going to tell you my personal thing. Jerry's going to say something different.
Good rant, Brent. Good rant.
Jacob Simpson says, do you scrub the do not call list and known litigators? I do not. I do not care. I know what litigation happens. I have students that get letters that say, we're suing you for calling us and blah, 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 blah. I just say, wipe your ass with those and move on. They're sending blanket shotgun letters, hoping that you give them a $3,000 thing. Nobody's ever really litigated I've never met a wholesaler that's actually been litigated over cold calling. I've met wholesalers who've gotten letters from attorneys saying, we are going to sue you if you don't give us $3,000 right now. I will.
If you just ignore those letters, they stop coming, by the way.
It's like a speeding ticket, like a photo radar speeding ticket. Just give us 6 months, it'll go away. By the way, we're not soliciting.
Oh, and we're not giving you legal advice either, by the way.
I am giving you my experience and what I do. Yeah. Okay. The other thing is, we are not trying to sell them something, my friends. We are trying to buy their house. We're not solar sales. We're not, hey, we got this new blue pill that will make sure that things happen for you. We're not trying to do any sales. We are the customer saying, can I buy something of yours? It's a very different thing. So when you guys read through the laws, okay, you read through all the DNC laws, you'll read. And by the way, we have multiple attorneys. We've gone through this stuff. all of the do not call list laws are not, do not ever call somebody. You imagine a neighbor not being able to call their neighbor saying, hey, just want to let you know you have a broken sprinkler. I'm on the do not call list. How dare you call me? I'm on the do not. Bro, I was just trying to let you know that you ran over your sprinkler head and it's flooding the whole neighborhood. Dude, I'm suing you. The do not call list does not apply to everybody, my friends. It applies to people who are soliciting a product, known solicitors. We are not soliciting. We are calling to say, hey, I'd like to buy something you have. I am a customer. It's a very different thing.
But if you're overly concerned about it, we are adding a feature in Propwire where it scrubs against the DNC list, because some people are really freaked out about that.
You can be one of those timid people. I like those timid people. I will continue to call the do not call list. I will have less competition on it. Thank you so much. House on fire and do not call list. Yeah. Let's see. There's some really good questions in here. Oh, Melissa says, Pace, my son is listening. Perfect. It's time for him to grow up and learn some cuss words. You're not selling anything. You're trying to buy their house. I'm on do not call list and I still get calls. And think about what would be required. Okay. Think about what would be required for somebody to actually sue you over the do not call list. And by the way, the do not call list laws, like all the new robo-dial call legislation that's coming out, do you know who they're gearing that towards? Bank of America, Chase.
Really where you'll see something happen, which scares everybody, is it's a great big company and they will go after those because there's something to go after. You think a lawyer is going to spend the time going after an individual investor on the do not call list? Probably not.
Correct. Okay, cool. So when I am doing these deals, here's what I'm worried about, Brent, Jamil. I don't know what to offer these 200 people, right? I go to Propwire. I go, dang it, I got 200. See, notice I said, dang it. Okay. John says, how do you offer cash on pre-foreclosures? What is our offer? Okay. What is our offer, my friends? How do I know what to offer on these 206 houses? Jamil, any insight here?
Yeah. Well, first it's going to be market specific, right? Market specific. The percentage of ARV that you need to be offering is going to change. Also, condition is specific as well, right? So are we talking about a cosmetic flip? Are we talking about, something that needs a full gut renovation to it? Or is it something that's in, pretty good condition? And so your maximum allowable offer is going to change based off of area. It's going to change off of condition. So you need that information before you just go out with a number. So I think having a conversation and extracting that data is going to give you what you need in order to come with an educated number for that person.
Yeah, you have to establish value, right? You have to know, you have to have a formula. You have to know what a good offer looks like. You have to be able to establish value based on the neighborhood values. And
absolutely. So 70% minus repairs?
Well, no, that's never going to get you a deal. I think 70% minus repairs is going to be always really low, right? What I've seen actually pencil out really well is the one that Brent's been using, and that's 82% of ARV. So 82% of ARV minus repairs. That's still usually going to shake out to the flat percentages of ARV that I'm using. I use a certain percentage for a cosmetic. I use a certain percent, like for instance, Phoenix, I'll go 65 to 68% of ARV, not minus repairs or anything, on a cosmetic in Phoenix. And I'll get those deals and I'll wholesale those all day. If they're in full,
what percentage?
65 to 68%. And if they need a full gut renovation, I'm typically around 50 to 55% of ARV.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you go to, if the property's over 250,000, go 50%. Like on Zestimate, go 50%. If it's between 250 and 100, go 35%. If it's below 100, go 10%. And that'll get you pretty close.
I'd love to hear what you guys say. I learned this strategy from Tony Mont, but what he does is he classifies the market kind of like we do in commercial with ABC. And so an A market might be that 82% because it's a really hot market. Investors are buying really high there. But then you might be in a low market like a Detroit or something, and you're not buying at 82 cents.
I do it months of inventory, Jerry. If it's above,
that's another way to do it.
If it's 3 months or more, pendings to actives, or actives to pendings, then I'm going to go 70%. If it's below, if it's 3 to 1 month, 1 month to 3 months, I'm going to go 82%. And then if it's 1 month, I'm going 90% minus repairs.
But here's the right answer.
I mean, if you're in San Diego,
what are the buyers paying in your market less your wholesale fee, right? So every market's going to have nuance. It's going to be different. It's going to depend on all these different factors.
And also, not to cut you off, but I just want you said your wholesale fee, guys. That number needs to be real.
Yeah.
Okay. Like
what do you mean? What do you mean by that, Jamil?
I mean, the national average for an assignment fee right now on a wholesale deal is about $15,000. Right.
Yeah.
That would be the number that I would plug in there. The knuckleheads who are putting in $100,000, $60,000 in that number. I mean, but you're going to be so low that the likelihood of anything happening there is going to be really, 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 really small, right? And you want to be competitive because you're going to be competing against Brent Daniels. You're going to be competing against Pace and Jerry and myself and the rest of the people out there. So be competitive with your numbers so that you don't come back here in a little while and say, it doesn't work.
Yeah, actually, you will not be competing with me because I will be calling the do not call list, just FYI.
But Jamil,
I mean, there's a big difference between Phoenix, nicer neighborhoods in Phoenix versus
Cleveland, Ohio,
Buckeye.
Absolutely.
In the same county.
Absolutely.
So we look at the inventory. We look hard at the inventory. Yep. How many active properties? Because that's what the investors are going to look at. How can I sell this property as fast as possible is what they're looking at. If there's a ton of inventory, they're going to be real tight with their numbers. Real tight because they got to be 10, 15% below what the rest of the market's at to sell.
Right.
Especially right now.
I had a cheat code and I am blown away that other people don't use this cheat code for the first year, maybe 2 years of being in the business. I never comped a single property one time for the first. Yeah. I literally texted Jamil. I was so new in the business.
Tell me I could do that.
I mean, yeah.
You can still text me, Jerry, if you want.
Numbers.
Okay.
I would text Jamil on my way to the appointment.
Real.
Or even when our team was door knocking up until 5 years ago. Our team was door knocking. We'd get an acquisition guy who goes, hey, we got a hot lead. What do we got? What's our offer? I go, hey, Jamil, what's our offer? Even as I had a 7-person acquisition team, I still confirmed my numbers with Jamil up until just a couple of years ago. And what's the reason why I stopped confirming with Jamil a couple of years ago is because I primarily buy and hold now. I'm not confirming with Jamil on my own buy and hold stuff. I wholesale maybe 1 out of 10 deals that I touch. 9 out of 10 of them I keep in my portfolio. So I've changed my strategy, but literally all the way through my wholesaling career, I have always confirmed Jamil or with somebody else that's on my buyer's list, primarily with Jamil.
And you guys can still take that same approach, right? There's Keegley's in almost every major market in the United States. You can reach out for buy numbers from them. They're really, really, really good on their numbers. So they'll help you dial it in so that, you'll have a really good chance of being able to wholesale that based off of the numbers they give you. So having a good connection with somebody, either a Keegley or a cash buyer that you can go to, that you can trust for the number, I think that's just going to really quicken things for you.
I really like this too. A lot of people do research on properties that they don't even know if the owner wants to sell it.
Right.
All right. Just because that property down the street has been vacant since you moved into the neighborhood does not mean that's a motivated seller.
Right.
All right. You need to have a good quality conversation with that property owner before you start diving in as to what you're going to offer and all these other things. Don't just send like a blank offer to them that you went through all of the processes to come up with a number. It's a total waste of time. It's called creative avoidance. And we do that because we're afraid to talk to strangers. Go out and talk to strangers every day. You will win.
Yeah, I went on a 4-person appointment. Actually, I got an appointment about 2 months ago when I was in Phoenix. I've been up in Montana for the last 2 months, so I haven't been on it. Oh, no, I went on an appointment a couple weeks ago.
Here?
Yeah, downtown Kalispell, a lady that long days on market. It's an agent that's also selling her house, and she was willing to do creative finance. But anyway, no big deal. I take 5 people on this appointment with me. I have to take my van on the appointment. 6 of us pile into this Polynesian family's house. And they didn't ask me one time who these people were. I just walked in. I was like, yeah, these are my friends. All right, let's start talking, blah, blah, blah. We get in the van after the appointment and everybody's like, so what are the comps? I was like, a good question. I haven't looked at there. What do you mean you haven't looked at the comps, Pace? I go, I spent all my time trying to understand, why are they selling? Why should they avoid working with an agent? What skills do I bring to the table? What advantages do they have working with me over somebody else? Yep. Then I will find out if they're motivated and I have a solution for them. I will then comp the property. And when I say comp the property, I mean text Jamil and say, will you please comp the property?
Well, I mean, honestly, what sales is a transference of emotion, not a presentation of facts, right? So, I mean, that's it, right? Like, at the end of the day, you're there to create a connection with that seller, and that's how you get the deal done.
Mamadou, just to give shout out to Mamadou in the side chat. Love Mamadou, such an amazing leader in the Sub2 community. Miss you, brother. Mamadou, about 3 years ago, before he joined Sub2, this is what he said. He says, if Sub2 community doesn't change my life and get me started in wholesale, I quit. Everything I've tried has been completely a waste of my time. Here he is, fast forward 3 years later. He's got a big team. He focuses on foreclosures. Okay, that's what Mamadou focuses on, is helping sellers out of foreclosure. 3 years after he started his journey, still cranking, scaling, doing the thing. Now, homeboy wears a collared shirt and a sport coat. It's the fanciest I've ever seen you, bro. You freaking look great. Mamadou, shout out to you, brother. Anybody that's trying to connect with Mamadou, I believe he's currently in Atlanta. Okay, I think he's in Atlanta. Wesley Pipes. I talked to a seller in Kalispell Friday, willing to seller finance 2 houses and a barn on 5 acres. I think that might be the same seller. Is it an agent lady who's been trying to sell the house for the last couple of months? Could be her. I gave advice to the Jordan Reyes, who's one of the community members that was working the lead.
He just moved here, he told me.
Yeah, just right up the road.
That's awesome.
Sub2. And he got a hot tub, a quad, and a cat all in his Sub2 thrown in. He bought a cat Sub2. So if anybody wants to know if you can, never mind. I was going to say a grotesque joke, not suitable for work. Okay. So Jordan Reyes is like, well, what should I do? And I go, this lady's not ready. Follow up with her in 2 weeks. He goes, well, her drop dead decision date is in a week and a half. I'm like, yeah. Follow up in 2 weeks. After all the pain is at the highest boiling point possible, wait. Absolutely wait. Okay. How much should we pay a buyer's agent on a $5.5 million deal, Jamil? Is 3% too much?
I would say on a $5.5 million deal, absolutely, it's going to be too much. Normally, in that higher price point, buyer's agents are somewhere between 1.5% to 2%. What are you seeing, Brent?
Depends on how good the agent is.
That's also fair.
I'm telling you, it's the amount of value that they provide. So.
If I was the seller and I baked that into my numbers, I would pay 3% all day long for a buyer.
Yep.
It's just, I think the question is right now, because buyers are having to pre-negotiate that with their agents, and so they're trying to figure out where to begin. We wouldn't do
that, Jamil. We wouldn't do that. Would we work with a buyer's agent?
I don't. Not when. Yeah. I don't work with a buyer's agent when I'm trying to buy a deal. But if I'm looking at buying maybe my own home,
okay, right?
In that instance, I'd probably use a buyer's agent to help me out, to kind of just filter out stuff. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I on my own home, I would use a buyer's agent. On a listing that I'm trying to chase for a deal, for instance, we locked one up. I was telling Pace about it. My ex is starting to wholesale now, and she was yeah, she's actually killing it. While we were away in Montana, she locked up her 4th deal and assigned her 3rd
here in
Phoenix. Yeah, she's killing it. And so, which is great, because if she wasn't able to figure this out, that I should just quit.
But the funny part is she's my student, not Jamil's student.
Yeah.
She's like, I hate Jamil. I'll learn from Jerry. Yeah. No, but what's really cool about it is that she did that exact thing that Jerry and I just did a big mini series on, is going direct to the agent and then using the listing agent as your buyer's agent. And because this listing agent was worried about the whole buyer's agent thing, listing agents are now even more open to dual agency because of this whole buyer's agency thing. So it's really gonna blow stuff up for us in as wholesalers doing DTA.
I think it's gonna allow us to create even stronger relationships than we were before. Agree. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a positive thing.
going back to that $5.5 million, unless that property is going to just fly off the shelf instantly, I'm sure that the sellers built it into their budget to pay a buyer's agent, something to bring a qualified buyer. So unless, whoever asked that question, unless this is a property that's going to go now and the seller's not going to budge and they don't want to give up 3%, then negotiate with your buyer's agent. But if it's sitting there, the seller's going to have to pony up, in my opinion. What do you think, Jerry?
Well, I mean, it depends on how you're structuring that, because are you negotiating that split for you to pay, or are you asking the seller to participate in that? I mean, how are you doing that? Because now it's all open for negotiation. So, definitely would need some clarification on what the whole thing is there. Is it a personal property, investment property? Who's paying that commission and all the other factors? So this is the thing now. There is no right or wrong. It's all going to be situational going forward.
I think you put out a buyer broker commission as a seller, you're going to sell your properties way faster than your neighbors.
True.
Way faster.
But you're not allowed to advertise that in the listing any longer.
Yeah, I get it.
So they're going to have to do
starting August.
It's going to be like code words. Like,
what do you think the first question is going to be when a buyer agent?
Oh, they can ask that on the call.
Yeah,
but they can't advertise it in the listing. So
I get it.
So they might use like emojis or something to let you know, like, hey,
my buyer,
we pay buyer's commission is going to be the peach. They're going to put a peach on all the listings. It's be like, hey, you see this big peach? That means we're going to pay you, buyer's agent.
It's the wink emoji, Jamil. The wink emoji.
The wink emoji?
Yeah.
or maybe they'll start using eggplants for another reason now. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah. I think he covered them both. Yeah.
Chris Barajas. Last question of the night. Chris Barajas says, so it's fine to not have a number in mind before talking. Chris.
Oh my gosh.
This is my personal experience. Mm-hmm. This is like asking a question. So, hey guys, I've got this girl I'm going to take on a date. Is it okay if I don't have the marriage date already planned before our first date? You'd look at that and go, why would you do that, bro? You don't know if she's the one. Well,
you don't know what price they want, Chris.
You don't know what price they want.
They might want a fast cash offer and want $40,000 when you're walking in saying you'll give them $100,000. How do you know? Let them tell you the price first, Chris.
Yeah, and then also you don't know their situation, right? The first question I will always ask a seller on a call is, why haven't you gone through an agent? What's keeping you from going through an agent? And that question is more important to me than price, because they're going to tell me the whole entire story. Oh, I can't wait for an agent. I need to sell this. Oh, all right. We've got some urgency here. Or I'll ask another question. What's kept you from selling the house so far? Like, you're in foreclosure. What's kept you from selling the house? Well, I've already gotten 14 offers. They don't cover my cost of my mortgage. I'd have to come out of pocket. Oh, okay. This is a creative finance deal. So asking the questions will actually determine your offer way faster than just some maximum allowable offer.
I will say this though, like in that situation, I like to look at it like a quick analysis or a quick number and then a detailed analysis, which is where you're going to really comp it out and go all in and spend 30 minutes or whatever. I'll come to a high level number in 90 seconds, right? So I'm going to take a quick look. I'm going to get my head around, ballpark idea of value, but that's it, right? Because I want to go into that appointment with sort of an idea in my head of what I think value is. And then I'm totally just now going to gather information like Pace just described. But what you don't want to do, Chris, is you don't want to spend all that time to get to a number before you even know anything else. If they even want to sell, what the story is, what the opportunity is, because you need to be open-minded at that point to then figure it out as you go once you're in that moment. But, so don't spend all that time. You'll find that you can get through so many more deals and you'll be so much more productive if you're not spending time valuing before you get on the phones or appointments.
Yep. Awesome show, guys.
Yeah, it was.
That went fast.
Yeah.
Super fast.
What are you doing this week?
This has inspired me. There's been a lot of questions about foreclosures, so I want to just spill that over to Wednesday. We go live at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time to 10 o'clock or 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time for 2.5 hours. Bring on some incredible guests. And we'll break down more on how to find foreclosures, how to effectively communicate with them.
Awesome.
Yeah. What about you, man?
Same, man. Shredder Comping will be Wednesday and Sunday, and For those of you that are maybe struggling with some internal stuff like, self-sabotage or procrastination or just not being able to get your mind situated in the right thing. I've been doing a new live stream on my YouTube, which has been doing really well on Sundays. People have been getting a ton of value from it. It's Sunday at 1 o'clock Pacific. If you have anything that's not been, working for you strategically in your mindset, you should join me for that. And it could definitely help you out.
Awesome. Pace.
I'm just going to be hanging out with Jerry all week long. And I finally come home to Arizona from Friday to Wednesday next week just to say hi to my child, Asher. He's officially in high school. And so we're in that weird world of limbo. And I'm probably going to do a meetup in Arizona because I miss Arizona so much. Might even do like a super lit birthday party at my house for my birthday.
When's your birthday?
My birthday's in February. So this is going to be lit.
42?
42.
Wow.
42 Pace. That's the oldest you've ever been.
That's the oldest I've ever been. Jerry, thank you for continually teaching me Propwire. Guys, go to getpropwire.com. It's free, but it shouldn't be, honestly. That should be the slogan for Propwire. It's free, but honestly, we don't know why it is. What are you doing, Jerry, this week? You got some stuff with your wife?
I need everyone's prayers because Emery's doing a hernia surgery.
Oh.
And the prayers aren't for her, they're for me because she's going out of town to do it and she's going to be gone for 2 weeks. Her mom's going with her to because she can't be home to do that, right? The kids will want to climb on her and stuff. So Jerry's going to be holding down the fort for the next 2 weeks.
Lake time, hiking, shooting guns, quads.
Homeschools out the window.
Chasing turkeys.
Yeah, we're going to have a party.
Hey, we didn't see Turkey Cam. Are they still out there?
No, where'd they go?
The kids chased them off. They're driving around in the quad out here. We did, by the way, I'll turn the turkey cam on next week. I moved it, actually. The turkey cam right now. Here's the turkey cam.
That's Jerry. Got
him,
Jerry.
Got him. So I repositioned it for last week's Wholesale Hotline. We ended up not using the camera angle, but yesterday we had a mama grizzly and 2 cubs walk straight through our pasture, and our neighbor was calling us going, I have a full-time handyman. His name's Nathan. Freaking, isn't Nathan awesome?
Oh yeah, Nate the Great. I call him.
Nate the Great. So Nathan's on the lawnmower out in the pasture. And the neighbor's calling us saying, get that guy out of the pasture. There's a grizzly bear coming after him.
Well, Laura came over and then she split out of there. And I was like, where'd Laura go? And they're like, there's a grizzly bear with cubs in the yard.
Wow.
Back at home.
So Jerry and I will be chasing bears this week, maybe for the next couple of weeks.
That's terrible. It's awesome.
We love our life here in Montana, guys.
Go fishing again soon.
We should. That was fun. Jerry did catch. Did you catch a rainbow trout or a cutthroat?
Yeah, Jamil, I was lying to you. It wasn't this big. It was like this big.
It was a good 14-incher. I got it on video.
Jamil, do you know how you know if a fisherman's lying to you?
How?
He's talking.
His lips are moving.
That's right, baby. That's right. Guys, we love you. Wholesale Hotline. Next week, we'll be talking about something maybe a little bit more similar. I think we should have Matthew Potter come on and talk about short sales and talk about that process. I think that would be fun. I'll text Matthew Potter. We love you guys. Wholesale Hotline, episode 3001. Later, guys.
Or just say squat up.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
What are you doing?
I didn't say nothing.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Cool. I think we should use the one where Jamil doesn't say anything.